Welcome to the most listened to golf in the world, the Fairways of Life show, on air, online, and around the world, with the most candid interviews, unforgettable stories, taking you beyond the ropes. Here's your host, New York Times best-selling author, Matt Adams.
What is going on, folks? Welcome into the Fairways of Life show on this Wednesday. Hope you guys are doing well. This week, it is the Cognizant Classic in the Palm Beaches that will be kicking off on the PGA Tour. Notables in the field. You could see it on the graphic that Andrew is going to put up there, but it includes Luke Clanton, Austin Eckroat, Ricky Fowler, Russell Henley, Billy Horschel, Matt Kuchar, Minwoo Lee, Jordan Spieth, Nick Taylor, Gary Woodland, and more. It's the first event of the PGA Tour's 2025 Florida Swing. The champion course at PGA National Resort features that daunting bear trap, holes 15, 16, and 17. Austin Eckroat earned his first of what is now 2 PGA Tour victories to his credit as yet. That was back in 2024. Here, Eckroat won the 2024 Worldwide Technologies Championship as well. Cognizant was named the title sponsor of this event in December of 2023. Just looking back on some of the past winners, 2020, Sungjae Im shot a 6-under, 274 aggregate, won by 1 stroke over Mackenzie Hughes. In 21, it was Matt Jones by 5 strokes over Brandon Hagee. In 2022, Sepp Straka, 10-under, 270, a 1-stroke victory over Shane Lowry. In 2023, Chris Kirk, he finished on 14-under, 266, went into that playoff and took down Eric Cole. And then again, last year, Austin Eckroat, 17-under, 267 aggregate, a 3-stroke victory, as mentioned, over Minwoo Lee and Eric Van Rooyen. The LPGA Tour is at the HSBC Women's World Championship. That's in Sentosa Golf Club in Singapore. It's a limited field event. It has no cut. Sentosa Golf Club is one of the leading courses in driving sustainability initiatives in the golf world. Was named to the world's best eco-friendly golf facility at the annual World Golf Awards. That was in 2020, 21, and 22. In 2024, Australian Hannah Green finished the tournament with 3 straight birdies, including a 27-foot birdie putt on the last of regulation to win by 1 stroke over Celine Boutier. There you can see the airtime starts tonight at 9:30 p.m. on Golf Channel for that coverage. So one who has made his way to the Cognizant Classic in the Palm Beaches this year is Jordan Spieth. So he was asked a lot of questions about, as you could imagine, what causes you to decide to come to a particular course? What process do you go through in figuring out how to play a golf course, maybe for the first time, especially this one that is so difficult and subject to so many crosswinds? He was asked about the wrist, as you can imagine. Where is it right now? Do you have to be careful of it? Remember, he came back. He kind of tweaked it a little bit on one shot at one point. Said it's okay right now. He was asked about potential changes to the Tour Championship. That was a conversation that I haven't been really that tuned in on. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I didn't know they were trying to make changes to the Tour Championship. Perhaps that has to do with that 10-shot lead and where it kind of ratchets down from there. He was asked if everybody is being heard, which is a really interesting question to ask of Jordan Spieth, who sits on that board. If it's not just about the top players, are all the players that are part of the PGA Tour being heard, or is it truly a tour of haves and kind of haves, and then some have-nots altogether? But mostly it started with this. Jordan Spieth was asked about the status of his game.
Yeah, it's exciting. I feel like the West Coast was kind of let's see how everything's feeling post-surgery. I missed the first month of the season. I just wasn't ready to play any of those events yet. And it was really nice to get back and then even to get into contention one week. So my goal now, as we look towards the Masters, is to try to play difficult golf courses and work my way into contention and just see what I can improve upon by the time we get to Augusta. I'm not sure if they still do. They had one of the most prestigious junior golf events that I played in November, the Polo. I think it's in November. And I remember playing it because it's a bear of a golf course for teenagers. But yeah, it is. I can't remember, other than certain major championship venues, I can't remember the last time I played an event that I hadn't played before. So my prep will be different. I plan on touching them all today and spending quite a bit of time on and around the greens, and just I think it'll be fun, because sometimes I think if you play a course a bunch, you kind of are like, well, I'll go see 9 and get I know a couple shots to hit around the greens, and that's nice. You can check the list, but it's almost kind of like a fun learning experience to go out and I know the pins are going to be in the 4 corners, so what days do you attack and what days do you... And then after you watch this tournament enough on TV, especially the closing 5 or 6 holes, you got a pretty good idea of what to do, which is just hit the center of the greens and try to birdie the last. I think the idea is just to make the fan experience the best, make NBC get them very involved in what they think is going to be the best option, and ideally you end up having the most exciting Saturday, Sunday situation that's easy to follow with the most drama you can have, that goes all the way down to the last hole. So we've had a couple different iterations of it. In the first iteration, I think the pushback was whoever it was didn't want 2 different champions. It was confusing on the same green. Then you go to the stroke format, and although easier to follow, I think I think the idea is the tour, the networks, and from polling fans, I think that they believe there's a possibility of a better format, whether that involves any kind of head-to-head matches, it involves less guys on Sunday all playing for it. I mean, I think everything's pretty much on the table, and I'm not sure what they've narrowed it down to since. Well, my hope is that it's not a new normal, because I don't enjoy the way it feels waking up, and if it's every day, it's okay by the time I play, but it's not ideal, because I would like to be able to feel pretty good in all conditions, and it wasn't that way on the West Coast. Having said that, it was my first go at it, so I think a better test will be post Hilton Head, maybe, where I go through a couple more stretches of tournaments, and ideally by then it's feeling a little bit better each morning. Anytime I had any roadblocks, anything that stung when I hit or whatever, it was would take a little break, work it back up, and then by the time I hit the same shot again 2 weeks later, it didn't hurt anymore. And so I had some some real experiences that tell me that everything's going to get better. I'm just trying to find the right balance of rest and playing, because it's not, I rested it for 6 days straight last week, and I came back and it was way worse the first day. It was 25 degrees and I was hitting off the mat, but it was still worse, as in, maybe, putting some force into it since it's healed, can sometimes actually loosen it up, can make it better, so it's trying to find that right balance on these full days. It was a lot easier when it was on a smaller ball count and you could take the time to mess with different options. Now, if I'm committed to, if I need to stop, I'll stop for a little, but I just feel like it's, power through. I'm not in pain, it just gets tight. I haven't played much in the last 6 months, so even though I played a few events, now this used to be the 1 week between what was the West Coast, a World Golf Championship, and then the Players. Before that, it was, you went in the schedule before Texas, the leading in the mat, and I've always played the Texas events. It was just quite simply a scheduling issue, so I never even looked at it. It wasn't because I looked at it and didn't want to play. It was just quite simply, I got to take a week off, or else I'm playing 8 out of 9 or 7 out of 8 to start, and it's just not that's not what I do. And so this year, the fact that I hadn't played much, and then I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to be able to play going forward. I think this year's schedule is just a little bit up in arms for me as I try to get my feet under me. I also am playing a bit of catch up. I don't like finishing outside the top 50 with the new system. So if I'm healthy and feel like I can play, and I called my coach, it was Thursday or Friday of last week, and I just said, hey, what's this golf? He comes here every year. What's the golf course like for me? And he goes, I think it's a great fit. You got to drive the ball, obviously precise, but tough golf courses in the wind on Bermuda. That's kind of what I grew up on. and he thought it was a really good fit, and so it all came together in 12 hours essentially. But I was like, well, it's still under 32 here at home, and it was just a weird cold spell, and South Florida sounds nice. Well, I think a lot that's been done, was reactive, and appropriately so, and I believe that, again, through the tour, ideally is going through I know they're going through their process of future product model stuff, involving networks, involving fans, involving sponsors. Those are the three that need to be involved, as well as obviously finding the right situation for the players, being at the forefront of their mind. I think it's more, I don't know if I have a great take on it personally. I think more so it's just figuring out exactly what the best future product model is, and we'll have to see what happens within, future investments, what that means, and then everyone trying to, if the game comes together ideally, then you kind of figure out what is the actual market, what is the right number of events, what is the right number in the events, and whether it's more in elevated type events but more players, or it's back to what it used to be. That I don't know, because again, I've taken myself out of those conversations. So I think we'll have a good gauge off of this year of if this type of model works, and that doesn't mean that adjusting it on certain field sizes and whatnot wouldn't happen. It's just, it's off to a good start in general this year. A lot of that probably has to do with, one, we've had great champions so far, and then you also, I think when you get bad weather everywhere, ratings go up too. So and then you got great Florida swing golf with drama packed finishes, so it should continue these 4 weeks. I would say over the last year and a half, I spent actually a lot of time, more than ever, listening to guys, reaching out to plenty of guys reaching out to me, and hearing what they're saying, and then yeah, I mean, what's ended up really happening with the solution to when guys have, I don't want to call it complaints, but when things come up like that, it gets directed to tour management that go through either a statistic analysis on what they're saying to give them more information, stuff like that, where it's, if it's the point difference, and then saying, hey, we're willing to adjust, we just want to see a season first, stuff like that, and that has been done. That was done for this season. So it's the idea is to try to get everything as fair as possible while creating the most opportunities for the top guys to be playing the best golf courses and the best tournaments as often as possible together, and having pathways to create stars coming up from Canada, Latin America, through the Korn Ferry onto the PGA Tour, being able to have Ludwig come up and immediately make an impact into the biggest events. Those kind of pathways are what the tour has always been about. So having a combination of the bunch, I think, is what's going into the future product model, and everyone ideally is being heard. Again, I'd like to emphasize again that I'm no longer involved and can't speak for everyone in the past few months, but prior to that, I'd spent a lot of time talking with a lot of players and trying to direct them, not giving my opinion. I don't have the answers, but trying to direct them to the people who have the answers.
Interesting glimpse there at the end of Jordan's comments, isn't it? About he labeled it as the solution, to use the phrase that he used, where he said, clearly when it has to be either a journeyman player or a player that's not seen amongst, as he phrased it again, to use his phrase, the best guys, then he directs them to the tour management, who shows them statistical data to support whatever position they have right now, with the caveat of going, look, we're going to give this a shot, and if it doesn't work out, we're going to modify or tweak it as necessary along the way. But then Jordan said that the balance is, the objective is, of course, to have opportunities to have the best guys together and then from here, I'm paraphrasing, on the best golf courses, playing against each other, so that they have the tournaments. And again, their philosophy and my interpretation is have those events, have those players and people playing against each other, because that is the highest and best in terms of interest level. And the interest level is important in terms of maintaining value for your rights that you're charging your media partners for, and for ratings to get people to engage and watch, while protecting and enhancing, hopefully, the opportunities for advancement for players that start to play well, that they become amongst those ranks. I think he even kind of made a quick little comment about the cut, which I thought was interesting, because that's been a point that has been one of contention, where when you get these best players together and there is no cut, why not make it a 120-player field, and why not actually have an opportunity where some of those who might be, by the game's modern definition, on the outside looking in, that might be able to, capture lightning in a bottle. Now, if the fear is that person is going to knock out a top player who otherwise may have been there if there weren't 40 other guys ish in the field in that given week, isn't that what sport is all about? So it was interesting to hear that discussion. He spoke in generalized terms about the Tour Championship, basically saying, they're looking at it to try to determine what they think is the best means of moving forward. I don't know. Dom, to your knowledge, have we ever done a question of the day where, and I'm not suggesting that we do it now, don't get me wrong, because it's not the time of year to do it now, where we talk about the Tour Championship. But do you remember if you've ever done a question of the day where you ask people what they think about the staggered start, as they call it, with the Tour Championship?
We have not, but I like the idea.
Yeah, because
I do like the idea.
Yeah, the top guy starts with the 10-shot lead, but again, it staggers from there. And
it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult to. It's going to be very difficult to get the best in the world to have a perfect sort of situation at the Tour Championship every year. Like, that's why it's difficult to understand the right format, because you're not always going to have what's going to work every year, depending on who's playing well. You can't just be assured that it's going to be Rory versus Scotty every year, and that's kind of what they're trying to figure out. How do we make it like that? You can't do it like that.
Well, that's correct. That I think is exactly what this whole conversation is about. But when you talk about playoffs, right, I think a league, a sport, has to make a decision. And the decision has to be, do you want the regular season to stand for something, or is the slate clear into the playoffs? And I bet there's some way that they could put together something. When they used to have the match play, the World Golf Championship match play, I actually found that to be incredibly entertaining. When they got rid of that, I was sad to see it go, because with the big dance going on with the NCAA tournament at that time of year, and then you had the match play going on in the world of golf, I thought it was great, but it makes you wonder, was that jettisoned because of what Dom was just saying? Did that guarantee that you were going to have, as he put it, Scotty and Rory at the end? Obviously not. Absolutely not. That's the nature of match play. And could you have an event like that? Think about it when we're having all these discussions, and we were in earnest again yesterday, about bringing in other world-class players, right? From wherever they merit coming in, if it's live or otherwise. Bring them in and have match play. I think it'd be an incredible event. I think it'd be very engaging. I think it'd be very fun. So is it possible that in some way, shape, or form, whether it's match play or not, that the Tour Championship that's your payoff for the regular season, can give you a bye of some sort before you get to the big dance? I don't know what that formula would be, but there's clearly a major effort going on in and around the world of golf from a tour perspective to say, well, we're trying to find a way. It's me talking. interpretation. We're trying to find a way to make sure that the big stars hang around. And it seems that part of the way to do that is to clear out those that are not. And that's the part of it that I don't like as much. I don't like that there's no cut. I don't like that it's a limited field. I think one of the appeals of the game of golf at any level, certainly at the most elite level, was the chance, the opportunity that we could see someone come out of the pack. Right? You think about it, Tin Cup. I mean, whenever you see the movies, whether they're serious or whether they're comedies, Happy Gilmore, it's about the guy that no one expects taking on the guy that everybody expects, and sometime magic happens. We'll see. We're going to take a break. More of the Fairways of Life show coming up after this. I want to go through some air times with you again in earnest. I know we started talking about the LPGA. Speaking of which, we have sound coming in from the LPGA too, from one who arguably is already a global superstar, but is there more in the offing? We'll get into that after this.
I got ball fit in 2000, went on a little run. Then Bridgestone fit me again, and I went on another run. I just got fit again for the new Tour BX. The ball fitting's been helping me. Will it help you?
Every January, PGA Tour Superstore pros meet every manufacturer, learn about the latest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. All so they can get you the perfect fit.
When you choose Newton shafts, you're choosing more than a product. You're choosing innovation, pride, and excellence right here in America. We pay attention to the minutest of details, and you can feel that in the performance of our shafts.
I think when you're training for other sports, or why most people go to the gym is so that they can have muscles and be strong and be healthy. And a lot of the reason why they struggle to play golf is their body doesn't move properly for them to be able to hit a golf ball. And when you're training for golf, it's a little bit different because you're focused more on flexibility and mobility and being strong in motion. When you're able to kind of have a warm up and have a workout routine and kind of gradually build up to where you're training your body to move properly, yeah, you're going to get a lot of big dividends on the golf course.
Our journey began with a simple yet powerful vision to provide the world with the highest quality Virginia-type peanuts. The Hubbard Peanut Company, where quality and tradition meet to create an unforgettable experience. Visit hubspeanuts.com to explore our full range of products and place your order today.
Super easy to hit. Introducing the new PXG Black Ops irons, our first game improvement iron.
It's a larger face heel to toe.
It launches the ball high in the air and really far.
Much higher levels of forgiveness. You set that club down, it creates a lot of confidence. It's supported by this X-Core column material.
And that's where you get improved ball speed. If you're looking for a distance, forgiveness, and feel, Black Ops iron is going to be for you.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Stride by Zero Friction, the first of its kind personal caddy. Walk in comfort and style with Stride's remote and follow me technology. The Stride handles almost any terrain, and its 54-hole range will last all day. The lightweight design and removable front wheels makes it simple to handle. Plus, it easily fits golf carts. Pick up your Stride today at a local PGA Tour Superstore near you or at zerofriction.com/Stride. Stride, your personal caddy.
Welcome back to the Fairways of Life show early on a Wednesday today because of our packed production schedule. So at the HSBC Women's World Championship, Charlie Hull addressed the media, and she was asked about what the motivation is for her. Why is she at this event?
I really like Singapore, and I haven't played here in a few years. Like the last couple of years, I've just played Thailand because it tied into my schedule a little bit, easier. I don't like being away for more than 2 weeks on the road, but so that's why I haven't played this one, unfortunately. But this year I'm playing it because I like it here. It's lovely and clean. The golf course is good. The hotels are lovely, and it's just easy to get to from the airport. And yeah, it's just perfect. At the end of the day, I think you've got one life, and you've got to live it how you want to live it. Like people's opinions don't pay my bills, do you know what I mean? So I've always lived like that. I just want to go out there, do me, and people like me for where I am, that's cool, and if they don't, like, doesn't bother me, just being me. As long as my friends and family love me, I am, and I'm just happy doing my own thing. So yeah, I've always been like that. So people always ask me my goals, and a few weeks ago I got asked a goal, and I was like, what's your main goal for this year? I was like, I want to do a 5k run in under 20 minutes, but then people was like, no, like, so golf's not your goal, and I'm like, yeah, golf is my goal, because every single week I'm playing in an event. Like, I wouldn't be in an event if I didn't think I could win it. Like, I'm in the event to win it, so my goal every week is golf, do you know what I mean? And then I don't want to like set myself goals, and then if I don't reach them, you feel like, but I always, every week that I'm playing, I want to be like, I want to try and win. And the last few years I've been putting myself in some really good positions, and I'm just learning more and more from each time that when I don't win an event, but to carry on pushing myself there. So yeah, I love golf. I generally love golf more than anyone probably loves golf on this tour. But yeah, my goals are just take one step at a time and just stuff like that, really.
All right, so I do want to go over air times with you. Let's start with the PGA Tour at the Cognizant Classic in the Palm Beaches Thursday and Friday on Golf Channel. It will start at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Saturday and Sunday, it's split between Golf Channel and NBC from 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. respectively each. On ESPN Plus tomorrow morning, the coverage starts bright and early, 6:45 a.m., and we'll go all the way up to the close of the broadcast window at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. As to Cognizant Classic radio coverage, PGA Tour Radio can be heard on Sirius XM. It can also be heard for free around the world on PGAtour.com and on the PGA Tour app Thursday and Friday from noon until 6, Saturday and Sunday from 1 p.m. until 6 p.m. respectively. As I mentioned, the HSBC Women's World Championship starts tonight, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Golf Channel and 2:30 a.m., and that will be the airtime going from Wednesday through Sunday. So an interesting article came out because you know that they had the big meeting the other night about presumably where are we going to go from here. Bob Herrig wrote an article for Sports Illustrated Golf, and the title is, I'm not always with the majority opinion. Peter Malnati discusses his seat at golf's negotiating table. Subtitle, the two-time winner is a bit of an outlier on the PGA Tour policy board, but tells Sports Illustrated that it's been, quote, an eye-opening experience, close quote. And he writes, a quick getaway was needed Sunday for Peter Malnati from the Mexico Open to the site of this week's Cognizant Classic in Florida, but not for the preferred reasons of spending time with family or getting to work on his frustrating golf game. The two-time PGA Tour winner's presence was needed in Palm Beach Gardens, where a tournament begins Thursday, but where a PGA Tour board meeting was awaiting him first thing Monday morning. An all-day meeting. Malnati, 37, is somewhat the outlier on a PGA Tour policy board that includes Tiger Woods, Adam Scott, and Webb Simpson, all major championship winners. And he's noted the challenges of taking part in a painstaking process of trying to reunify men's professional golf while struggling to find form in his day job. Quote, it's been really interesting to me, Malnati said in a phone interview with Sports Illustrated on Monday night following a day-long meeting. We talk all the time in golf about things we can't control, and in this, we talk about all these ideal scenarios. And a lot of it is out of our control, and that goes against the golfer's creed. What would Piff accept? Or is this a waste of all of our time? In general, it's been an eye-opening experience, and I will end my term on the board with a lot deeper understanding of the PGA Tour in the world of professional golf, close quote. Malnati's 3-year term comes to an end later this year, and he acknowledges the commitment to the task has been at times both frustrating and enlightening. His victory last year at the Valspar Championship came during the same week that he and other board members met for the first time with Yasser Al-Rumayyan, the governor of Saudi Arabia's public investment fund that backs the Live Golf League. Nearly a year later, there was no deal, but there have been recent rumblings that one is closer, especially given PGA Tour buoyancy over meetings with President Trump twice at the White House. Malnati was not part of those meetings, but admit it has led to an interesting turn. Again, quoting, as stupid as this is, and it's really stupid, The President of the United States wants to be involved, and I think he wants to take credit for reuniting men's professional golf. That's a powerful tool to have in your back pocket, close quote. Malnati said that the meeting Monday included PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan and fellow board members Scott Simpson, Patrick Cantlay, Camilo Villegas. Woods, who was ill, attended remotely, as did Adam Scott, although he would not provide details. Malnati suggested the most recent meeting on February 20 with President Trump did not lead to the agreement some had hoped might happen. Al Rumayyan, who was not at the first meeting, was in attendance in this one, bringing the factions together more than 18 months after the original framework agreement was announced on June 6, 2023, has proven to be difficult. Quoting, I think where we are right now that's encouraging is we do have some pretty good idea of what it might look like to reintegrate some of those live players, Malnati said. The guys who won majors, etc. It's not specific, but to reintegrate live players into the PGA Tour. I think, if nothing else, the optimism around this has really expedited the process of what continues or constitutes a unified men's professional golf and what it would look like. And how does the DP World Tour fit into this? That is important, too. I think we've answered some of those questions, and the PGA Tour staff have done a tremendous job of putting a plan together, close quote. Malnati would not divulge specifics, but admitted there remain significant hurdles. Monahan's one tour outlook 2 weeks ago at the Genesis Invitational suggested a plan to bring live golfers under PGA Tour enterprises in some way that is obviously complicated and would need regulatory approval, something the tour likely is hoping that Trump would greenlight with the U.S. Department of Justice. Figuring out exactly what live golf would look like going forward, the league is headed to Hong Kong and Singapore in the coming weeks, remains part of the process. Earlier Monday, Malnati took part in a Zoom call as part of the Valspar Championship Media Day in advance of the tournament at Innisbrook that takes place in 2 weeks. He was originally scheduled to attend in person until he was called into the policy board meeting. He ducked out of that for a few minutes to talk about the victory last year as well as the state of his game now, which he says, quote, has been absolutely dreadful, close quote. Since winning last year, Malnati, whose only previous victory came at the Sanderson Farms Championship in 2015, has a best finish of a tie for 33rd at the Memorial Tournament. He missed 15 cuts, including at 3 major championships last year. He's dropped from 65th in the official world golf rankings to 147th. Quoting, around the time of the U.S. Open, I felt really good, but I ended up missing the cut. From then until about 3 weeks ago, it's been a slow, steady downward spiral. I was digging myself a pit of golfing misery. I was playing badly, and I let it spiral, close quote. Malnati said that he had a bit of rest 3 weeks ago and made cuts at both the WN Phoenix Open and the Mexico Open, although he was not happy with the end result, saying, I hope it's a bit of a turning point. Malnati told a funny story about the first time he was paired with Woods, though, in the 2019 Genesis Invitational at Riviera just a few months before Woods won the Masters. Weather had caused a late afternoon start off the 10th tee, and Woods opened birdie, eagle, birdie. Quote, we walked back to the 13th tee, and I've been awestruck the whole time, Malnati said. Crowds are enormous, and it's one of the few times in my life I'm speechless. I haven't said a word to him, but we're waiting for the fairway to clear, and I say, you know, Tiger, a lot of people get nervous their first time playing with me, but you've handled it really well. He cracked up, and he laughed so hard. The rest of the time we talked to me like we were pals, and so it was really neat. It was a cool experience for me. The two have gotten to know each other better now as board members, and Malnati said that they are not always in agreement. Quoting, being on the board with him, it's been really interesting. He and I are not always of the same mind about a lot of things, but there's a lot of things that we actually are. We have conversations where we get kind of big and idealistic. And I'll also ask him, what kind of PGA Tour do you want your son Charlie to play on? Do you want Charlie to play in a tour that looks anything like the tour you played on, or do you want it to look completely different? And we'll sort of have a conversation around that idea. So interesting stuff. That's from Bob Herrick. It continues from Sports Illustrated, talking about the meeting on Monday and a complete total lockdown on the information that is being shared That is, I have to admit, somewhat rare in golf, not completely unheard of. Reason being is when recently they talked about divvying up equity with the Strategic Sports Group and the new PGA Tour enterprises. I don't know about you guys, but I never heard the results of that. No discussion that I'm aware of publicly about who got what and what that means. So there has been some efforts made and success therein in terms of not letting information get out, and the commissioner has been honest about that right along, saying, look, we're not going to negotiate in a public forum. So that from, again, Bob Herrig and Sports Illustrated Golf. All right, we're going to head out of here, folks, today. As I mentioned to you, we've got a massive production schedule ahead of us. You'll know why next week, and we're looking forward to sharing all of that with you. And until we are together again, folks, be well and goodbye for now.
In Ireland, golf is more than just a game. Come and experience our world-famous links courses and our world-famous Parkland courses, all set alongside world-famous scenery. And visit our world-famous historic sites. And while you're here, enjoy our world-famous hospitality. Fill your heart with Ireland at ireland.com/golf.
Ben Hogan Golf Equipment is back. Established in 1953, we serve golfers who demand excellence of their equipment. Designed by the game's best engineers, forged in the world's best foundries, and built to order in the USA. Don't settle for off-the-rack disappointment. Elevate your game with custom clubs at direct-to-consumer pricing. Exclusively at benhogangolf.com. That's benhogangolf.com.
The best feeling iron I've ever hit. Introducing the new Gen 7 irons, the greatest leap forward in irons technology, in performance, in PXG history. Our new quantum core material explodes off the face. Are you kidding me? The Gen 7 irons deliver groundbreaking new levels of forgiveness, speed, distance, and feel. That's what I'm talking about right there. Look at that trajectory. Just phenomenal. Gen 7, it doesn't get any better.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Baseball? Nah. Football? Done it. I think I'm going to go after PGA Tour.
Playing on the PGA Tour is not easy. But you know what is easy? Hitting the 524 series from Tour Edge.
Hitting linebackers and home runs used to be easy.
Out here, you're going to need all the easy you can get. Introducing the 524 series from Tour Edge. The easiest clubs you'll ever hit. Even the best players in the world can use a little easy.
I like the sound of that. Look out, PGA Tour. Pound for pound, nothing comes close.
What would your ultimate golf experience be like? Just you and a friend? Or would you round up some buddies for a foursome? Just one day? Or an entire week? There's a good chance your ultimate golf experience could be Michigan's magnificent 10. 10 incredible courses set among 3 remarkable resorts. See for yourself. Book your ultimate golf experience today.
Our journey began with a simple yet powerful vision to provide the world with the highest quality Virginia-type peanuts. The Hubbard Peanut Company, where quality and tradition meet to create an unforgettable experience. Visit hubspeanuts.com to explore our full range of products and place your order today.
Every January, PGA Tour Superstore pros meet every manufacturer, learn about the latest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. All so they can get you the perfect fit.
When you choose Newton shafts, you're choosing more than a product. You're choosing innovation, pride, and excellence right here in America. We pay attention to the minutest of details, and you can feel that in the performance of our shafts.